You're a mum, you're a busy mum. Come listen to the Busy Mum podcast. Life hacks and inspiration for the busy modern mum.
Hi and welcome to the Busy Mum podcast. I am your host, Jackie DeCampo. This podcast's sole focus is to interview busy mums and sometimes dads that usually have a business or at the very least a bustling side hustle. We cover areas like why they got into business in the first place, what their greatest lessons are or fear is, and how to overcome that. We talk all things marketing, advertising, systems, processes, cash flow, which is my favorite part, whether they have a product-based business or a service-based business, and all things related to business. And also, we talk about how they manage it with a family life as well. A little bit about me. I'm 38 years old, married to Ben DeCampo. We have 2 daughters. I am a co-founder of Milkman Grooming Co. I host this podcast and I am a mad keen gardener. If you want to share your story, please reach out, or if you're interested in sponsoring an episode, again, please reach out. My packages are very reasonable. My email is thebusymumpodcast, that's M-U-M, podcast @gmail.com. Now let's dive into this bloody fantastic episode. Well, Lee, welcome to the Busy Mum podcast. How are you this morning?
Thank you. I'm pretty good this morning. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Now, we were just chatting off air about how we're both sitting in rooms that aren't ideal because, like, I can see in your room you've got, like, fold-up tables and, I don't know, all
got
kind
a server rack behind me of computers and all sorts.
Although my background looks okay on video, what I'm looking at right now looks like a bomb has hit this room. So thank you, Ben, for that. Thank you very much. So let's start with, tell us a little bit about yourself, Lee. What's your business or businesses? What do you specialize in? How people can contact you, and how you actually got started in this world of entrepreneurship?
Well, that's a complicated question.
I know.
So my husband and I work together. We have quite a few businesses. Our main business is I'm blanking. See, I'm really bad at these types of things when I have to talk about myself. So our main business is custom software. Mm-hmm. And we help people, businesses mostly, who need to refine their systems or want to design an app. We help them design it out, project manage it, and get it all done so that they don't have to have the worry about doing all that themselves. So that's our main business. Yeah. Our next business, we also have an off-the-shelf business management system. And that's for larger businesses, and that pretty much runs their whole business. That has their calendars, their invoicing, there's a point of sale. There's a whole bunch of things in there that they can use to run their business. Mm-hmm. I'm also a graphic designer and a writer, and I'm the author of our local chamber, the editor, of our local Chamber of Commerce's e-magazine. Mm-hmm. And I do some editing and some blog consulting and things like that. So yeah, that's a lot. I'm not really sure how to say people contact me. We do have a lot going on. So.
Well, you do have a website, which is your name, Lee.
I do. LeeMcCaffrey.com.
Yeah. So I went on to there, and there's everything that you do on there, and your contact details, so people can contact you there.
Yeah, it's probably the best place. Yeah.
Now, I work with my husband as well, which can be interesting at times, I must say. Yes. But when we need a little break, Ben goes on sales missions and he flies interstate, which is good. How do you guys deal with like working together? Like, you must have been doing it for quite a few years now.
We met at work. So in our early 20s, we both had a boyfriend and a girlfriend at the time, and we were friends, and then we stayed friends and reconnected later. So we always had that working relationship first. Mm-hmm. We're both fairly unique in that we can also both compartmentalize really well. So we can have a massive blowout during the day about work and then be standing down in the kitchen cooking dinner and it's fine. It's a bit of a strange relationship like that. But there are times when we need to get away from each other, and we have found that we were not spending a lot of time together, which is something that we've recently addressed. We've got a show on Stan that we watch now together, that's our kind of like together time, because we were spending so much time at work. But it wasn't husband and wife time.
Yeah.
You would understand that. You would know what that's like. It's completely different when you work together. So, yeah, it's an ongoing battle, I guess, to find the balance. But, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we have date night once a week, and whether we go out for dinner or stay at home and have a date, we use that time to try and reconnect, like on a personal level rather than talking business. Like, the thing is, like, we love business too, so it's really hard to say, okay, this time we can't talk about it. It's like, but I really love it.
It's the same with us. It's like with your kids. Like when you go out and you're like, we're not going to talk about the kids, and then all you do is talk about your kids. Well, we're the same with business and our kids. So our conversations, whether or not we're trying to, always end up consumed by what we're doing, because we both love what we're doing. So
yeah. And I really feel like we've had to learn, like, the more you have to communicate, the better you get at it. And that can be any type of communication, whether it be work talk, family talk, couple talk, whatever. As long as you're communicating and finding that solution rather than the problem, I think you become better as a couple. And
I think you're spot on there. And with that is honesty as well. We have a rule that we don't keep anything from each other. So if there's been a stuff up, or if there's an issue with money, or we've got a lot of friends who the husband will take all the burden of the money worries, and the wife will just spend and do the shopping and whatever, and she doesn't know, and he's got the stress. And we don't operate that way. We know, if he's got a worry, I know about it.
Yeah.
So I think that really helps in that.
Yeah.
There's no fights about things like that. I have never found out, oh, my God, there's no money in our account. I know when there's no money in our account, they still tell me there's no money in our account. But I think just being on the same wavelengths and having that honesty really helps in keeping the balance and the communication flowing.
Yeah, well, when Ben and I first got together, we were of the mind, like, if one was going to spend more than like $100, remember this was back when we were 20-something, and $100 was like, oh my God, $100 is so much money. Spend $100 on any item, we would just have a quick chat about it, saying, I really need XYZ, or I'm going to spend this much money. So the other person was just aware that was coming out. So again, the communication, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your main business. It's called Kaleidoscope Systems.
That's right.
And it's kaleidoscope.systems.
Yes.
And it's a custom software development business. So that's your main business. And you said you were an author and a writer and more creative. So is this your kind of husband's background?
Well, yes and no. So I've done a few things. Yeah. So when we met, we were working in a pharmaceutical area, and I was helping build systems. So he is a software engineer, and I am a graphic designer now. Yeah. I went back and went back to uni. I retrained because it was something that I loved doing, and so I went and did that. But my background is also in systems, so it kind of made sense for us to keep going down that path. Yeah. It does help. Well, I run the business and he runs the technical stuff. So he is a true developer. If he could sit in a room in front of a computer all day long, 24/7, he would be really happy. So, I think it really helps having a creative brain and a developer brain in business. But
Okay, cool. So then did you use your networks that you had to get like your first couple of clients?
Sort of, yes. So we started a business 8 years ago called PC Wrangler, and it was computer repairs. So we were pregnant with our first child, and a whole bunch of stuff happened that meant that neither of us had any jobs. So my husband started pounding the pavement. We made flyers. He used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and he would drop flyers in every door in all the business parks locally, and he got a lot of customers that way. And what we found was, because he was an engineer, a software engineer, a lot of people were asking him questions about building apps and software and things like that. And this was kind of before, I know it doesn't seem like that long ago, but it wasn't as big now as what it was then. You know, apps and iPhones and things like that. And so we just sort of found that it was a natural progression from that. And at the same time, he was writing our Lasso program, which is our other business. He was writing that at night time at the same time. So they were kind of coming along together.
Yeah. So you've got, so PC Wrangler is now, you contract that out. Is that right?
We do.
You just kind of do like the big picture of that kind of business?
We have a couple of guys now that do all of that, and then they just pay us a fee. So initially we were still fielding phone calls and things like that, but now they just run it themselves, and
they pay a fee for them.
Yeah, they just pay per customer, kind of like a finder's fee, I guess.
Okay. And are you looking to grow that though, to get more guys in, or is that just, are you just kind of like just leave that as it is, it's working?
Yeah, we're just going to leave that as it is. So I don't know if I should say this. I will, because I'm brutally honest, but we tried to kill that business and it wouldn't die. So this is why it ended up the way it was. We were the opposite of trying to grow it. We were trying to get rid of it because we wanted to then go into more of the kaleidoscope lesson. We were ready for Lasso to start into beta testing, and we just didn't have time for it. And so finding the contractors to then go and do the work for us was like our hands in the air frustration, because we just couldn't get rid of our customers.
Well, they needed you. You must have been doing a good job. Okay, cool. And then, so you've done a off-the-shelf business software solution. So is that that's not the app company though, is it? Is that the app?
No. That's a different business. So that's more like, it's like a CRM system / there's a point of sale in there. So we wrote that because we found that going into businesses, we found that people were running lots of different systems. So they might be running up to 7 or 8 systems and apps to run their business. So we started writing something that where we brought it all together. So they were really only running one software solution, and by doing that, we can cut the costs of, running your business, because instead of paying 7 or 8 different monthly fees, you're only paying the one.
So what systems were they running? Because I'll give you a breakdown of the systems that we run in our business. We've got a product-based business. We've got QuickBooks, and then we've also used like Australia Post as well to ship our stuff. And then we've got Shopify, which is our web hosting thing. And then we also sell on eBay and Amazon and Hard to Find.
So in terms of your product-based business, I would say that sounds pretty streamlined as it is.
I don't know how to streamline.
I don't think you could streamline that any further. Service-based businesses we tend to deal with more, in that they're running, a lot of them are sort of running spreadsheets, and we've got an appointment with somebody on Monday who's running 4 systems, and they're still using a whiteboard to write their schedule up for the week, because the system that they're using for their calendar, they can only see that day rather than the next week. And so
can't they use like the Google Calendar? Just like,
I think it's all tied in. I haven't been out there yet, but I think it's all tied in with the way that their appointments get billed and things like that. So it's with their quoting and their invoicing and things like that. It's sort of, I guess it must be easier for them to write it on a whiteboard than it is to double entry into another calendar.
Yeah, I know. We also use MailChimp as well. I forgot to throw in MailChimp, and that's basically it. But I love my corkboard. I have a corkboard because I realise that I'm a bit of a paper person. And
So
I have papers everywhere, and because I run the finances as well, I like to have the bills stuck up on the corkboard so I know that rather than keeping it in my brain, I just print it out, put it up there because I know when it's due. So.
So am I. So with all the technology I am surrounded by, I have a paper diary and I have a paper schedule hanging on the wall, and I am I'm a creative and I'm tactile and I like writing and drawing and touching, and if I don't have it laid out in front of me, I won't look at it. I find even with my phone sending me alerts all the time, it dings, and if I'm doing something, I'll just ignore it. So it's much easier for me to look down at my overview of the day or the week sitting beside me and crossing off things as I go. Also, there's a bit of a sense of, hey, I've got that done, and I love seeing at the end of the day all the cross marks. But so same here, total paper person.
Awesome. Now, I just want to talk to you about apps as well. Do you offer a service where like a small business can come to you and say, I want this app built for, I don't know, let's take for instance, like you take a picture of your face and then you can put different hairstyles on it for like a hairdressing salon or something like that. Is that something you guys build?
Yeah, it is. It is. We don't build it ourselves. What we will do is we will design it. We will help you design it and project manage the build. So we have teams of developers that we outsource to that we've built building our own systems. And then we liaise with them. So what we find a lot of the time is people will get on somewhere like Upwork or one of those outsourcing sites, and they end up getting terrible work back, or they have their money taken. So we've established networks of developers that we trust, that we've worked with consistently over the last 5 years, and we sort of take all that stress away from people from having to deal with that all themselves.
Yeah, beautiful. That sounds good. It's kind of good because it's still like kind of Aussie based, but outsourced a little bit overseas. So some of the money still stays in the local economy, which I quite like. I don't like sending too much overseas. And cause,
I don't either.
Yeah, because you just don't know. Like, you don't mind for those small jobs, but for the bigger jobs, you kind of want to try and keep it in Australia if you can.
We keep as much as we can here, and we use Aussie VAs, and we use as many Aussie people as we can. For us, it's not always about the cheapest or keeping the costs super, super low, although, you know, we have to be conscious of that when it comes to people's budgets and things like that. But, we're the same. If I could have teams of developers in Australia, I would, and we are working towards that, particularly where we live. We live 2 hours out of Sydney, so we're not in the middle of nowhere, but we're not exactly city either, and we'd love to bring some more jobs to the area. It's just a massive task to make that happen with the way that business runs in Australia. So.
Yeah, and like people are expensive in Australia. Like bottom line, we're expensive, and we expect to be expensive because we have to pay Australian prices. So I totally get it. Now, I just wanted to move on to your book. It's called Once Upon a Time in Small Business. What was your motivation for writing this book?
So my motivation for writing in general, because I also write for a few business sites, is that I didn't feel like there was anybody writing or speaking that was telling a story that was like mine. I felt like everything I was reading was coming from an authority, or, you know, this is how you do this and I'm an expert in that. And I really just wanted to give a voice to the mums who were out there picking their kids up in trackies and thongs and going home and running businesses and, you know, and the struggles and challenges and wins that they had during their day. And, so that's really my motivation for getting that out there.
Cool. And so your book, though, it's built on different case studies. Is that right?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Stories, my story. They're my stories.
They're all
it's
your
all
stories?
True. Yep, it's all true. It's all stuff that we've either been through or walked through with other people. It's
cool. It must have been such a big thing to actually get it launched as well. Like, did you self-publish or did you go to a
I did.
Yeah?
No, I did self-publish. because I wanted to use it as a tool rather than when you take it to a publisher, they just want you to sell the book pretty much. They want to make a profit off the sales, and that's not why I did it. I did it because I wanted to be able to hand it to someone and say, this is my book.
Yeah.
You know, go away and read it. I don't necessarily, I do sell it, but I don't necessarily, like, I'm not trying to make money off it. It's more a tool for me. So,
and how long did it take you to write?
It took about 12 months. Now, it wasn't a sit down and write the book from start to finish. So I have a bit of a problem where I'm a talker and I'm a writer, but I really struggle to write. So I write for a website called Smallville every week. It's a small business website. Yeah. And it's run by Andrew Griffiths, who's a small business author. And he mentors all of us, and he was always going on about reusing your content. And I always wanted to write a book. I just never thought I'd be able to. So I was writing for them weekly, and I just wrote the book pretty much every week over about a year and a half. So once I had my 35,000 words in articles, I collated all of those into a book. And it actually works really well because it's also one of those books I find where being so busy, when I try and read a book, I might read a chapter at night time and I'm so tired that I don't remember what I've read. So because my book's broken up into articles, they're like 500 words. You can read the start to finish article in a minute, get the takeaway from that and then go to sleep. So you're not kind of going back and reading it again and again and again to try and figure out, what do I need to learn from this? Yeah. So, yeah.
Very cool. And just moving on to the next question I have for you as well. What apps do you use in your business that you can't live without?
I use Meester Task.
Now, I haven't heard of that. Can you explain what that is? Yeah, no, I haven't heard of that.
It's kind of like Trello. I guess it's replaced Trello for me in a way. I just like the flow and the feel of it better than the other ones. Trello I use. Slack we use a lot to communicate with everybody, with our developers, with internally, my husband and I. I think that's pretty much it, though. Did I?
Then you said you're a pen and paper person, so we've already talked about that. But so Slack and Trello. You've heard of the app or the manager, I suppose, Monday.com? Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Their ads always pop up on YouTube for me, and I'm like, okay, I get it. Monday. But I haven't actually dived into anything like that because we haven't got anything that actually don't cringe, please. I just write everything I need done on like a bit of paper for my employees to do stuff each day because it changes, and then I think I'm in the office anyway, and honestly it's a bit of me being a bit cheap, I suppose, and not wanting to pay out for more than I need as well, because a lot of these things cost money, like they're on a subscription, and if they're just basic things, like if our business got even more complicated, yes, I would probably pay for something, and if we had people offshore and everything like that and we had big projects to manage, I'd do that. But because basically we come in, the girls pack the orders and they cartonize stuff and do quite simple tasks, I think it's still quite manageable. But yeah, that's me in my business.
I would do the same thing if we didn't operate from, remotely and with satellite offices. I would do the same. If I could walk in and hand someone a Post-it note, my husband would hand it back to me and tell me to email him or send him a message on Slack. But if I could do that, I would. I love my notes and my pen and paper and my Post-its and things. Not cringing.
Not cringing. No. Now, the next question I have asked you is, what do you specialise in? But I think we've already kind of covered a lot of that off in through your businesses. Yeah. One thing that probably we could go back to is Mac & Co Creative, and you've called this your love business. So this is obviously your little baby.
It is my baby.
Like the podcast is my little baby. I love it. Love meeting other women. So when did this one start? When did that one, Mac & Co, start?
Mac & Co's been around for about 5 years. I don't do much active marketing for Mac & Co, but I do like I've done a few speaking things, I do a lot of blog education and writing education and helping people learn, or not learn how, but become more confident, I guess, in telling their story. And in storytelling, I find that most people know how to tell a story but lack the confidence to actually do that. So that's mainly what I do with that.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And whereabouts do you go to get your information, and why?
I read a lot. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of articles on Flying Solo and Inc.com and Smallville. There's a great stable of business owners and writers over there. I'm only just starting to get into listening to podcasts.
Same.
Only because I find that because I'm busy during the day, if I've got something on in the background, I'm zoning in and out, whereas if I'm reading something, I'm actually reading it. So I will say I'm really, really careful about what information I do take in, though, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, a lot of bad information, particularly on social media. I find in business groups, if people ask like a legal question or an accounting question, and then there's 50 comments that come up about this is what you should do, that's what you should do, and you're just looking at it going, oh my gosh, I hope they're not listening to this. Always, when it's really important information, always back it up by asking a lawyer or an accountant, or these are people that you should have in your business network anyway if you're in business.
Some of those questions, I just think, what are you doing? Like, it's more like, which design do you like, A or B? And it's like, who cares, really, at the end of the day?
What do you like?
You pick one and go for it, because I'm telling you now, people aren't going to pick you based on your logo.
No. As a graphic designer, I will tell you that your logo is the least of your worries.
You need one, but you
definitely need one, but that's not what's going to sell people on what you do. You are going to sell people on what you do.
Yeah, exactly. And what's one area of your business or businesses you would like to improve, and why? And also, how do you propose to do this? It's all these so many big questions, aren't they? Sorry, they're a little bit.
My social media is terrible. It's so bad. Personally, I love social media. I think it's great. I'm not one of those I hate Facebook people. If I didn't have it, I probably wouldn't have any friends, because that's how I communicate with everybody. Or I just don't see people a lot. I mean, I see mums at school and work colleagues, but our family's spread out all over Australia, so it's a great way for us to keep in touch. But from a business perspective, I'm really, really bad at it. I have a goal this year to get better at it. I think for me it's probably a confidence thing, because it's, marketing yourself is never easy. I'm really, really bad at marketing myself.
Well, this is step one.
This is step one. So what I'm doing at the moment is we've got our school fair coming up next week, and I'm doing so I'm a co-organizer for it. So I'm doing all the social media for that. So I'm kind of
learning,
teaching
on the job,
myself to get into a routine and posting frequently and looking at analytics and things like that. All that stuff scares me, because at the end of the day, I just want to be liked like everybody else, and you hate to see that no one's liked your photo or anything like that.
Yeah, but I think you've got to change your mindset around it, and just keep putting out good content. Don't care if people like it. Just say, I'm putting out good content. And and then just forget about it, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
Put
it
out
and
forget about it, because really, they're not going to I know this is a bit morbid, but are they going to show up when you're dead at your funeral? No, they're not. Are you going to get likes on your picture of your tombstone? It just seems ridiculous. It's you need to kind of put your energy and stuff into the people that like you already at a personal level.
It's crazy how it sounds when you're actually sitting there talking it out, isn't it?
It is,
the things that you stress over.
Yeah, the likes. It's oh my God, this is not actually making me feel any better when you get those likes as well.
Yep, totally.
Okay, cool. So just got a couple of quick fun questions and then I'll let you get on with your day.
Yep.
Which do you prefer and why? Vampire or werewolf?
Oh, vampire. Why? I don't like hair very much. Like, I'm not a hairy person.
That's weird. I'm not a hairy person. Netflix or Stan?
Netflix, but I do both.
You do have
I do. I feel like, because I broke my ankle over Christmas and I feel like I watched the whole of Netflix, so now I've moved to Stan.
That's funny. Product-based business or service-based business?
Well, service-based only because I've only ever really had a service-based business. So I do think that I might like to try doing a product-based business at some point. But I think that I would have to really love the product. Like, it would have to be another love business. So.
Yes, it does. And I think also for me, I have a product-based business and it's space you need to store all the product. So, and I feel like with the service-based business, you don't need as much space. Like, you need space in a different form in terms of like space on your computer and space, And so, Well, thank you so much, Lee, for being on the Busy Mum podcast. It's been thoroughly enjoyable speaking
for having me.
Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Busy Mum podcast. Don't forget to let your friends know and also subscribe to the iTunes channel and also my socials if you want to see what I'm getting up to. A brand new episode is out every Monday morning, just like clockwork.